How we doing?
I'm good. How are you, Tommy?
I'm pretty okay, actually. So, yeah. How are y'all doing tonight? The people?
How do you do, peoples?
Just give this a couple more minutes for people to hop on.
So let's
Mhm.
do let's do our drinks thing. What are you drinking?
Oh, yes. This be a good spot for that. So, I got Mad Tree Phantom Forest.
That's a good one.
Uh, yeah. Juicy Imperial IPA.
Yeah, I have. I was just there earlier today, actually.
Ooh, sounds like a
Um,
good day. Or maybe.
I have Narragansett Lager,
Ooh, yeah. You were telling me about that.
also known as just a Gansett. I think it's from Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Hmm.
So it's a macro lager, like an American one with corn and all that shit in
Mm-hmm.
it. But it
Mm-hmm.
is the tastiest and like $13 for 12. And let's see,
Yeah.
what's the alcohol? What's the ABV on this shit? Uh, doesn't say. I think it's like five something. But it has this little like festive for not this time of year thing on it. Um,
Oh, so timely. Yes.
I think they just got distribution in this area, but it's
Hmm.
since I already had two beers earlier, I don't want to go too heavy.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Earlier, I had a butterfly pea flower IPA,
Ooh,
so it's kind
butterfly
of
pea
bluish
flower.
purple, and
Hmm.
I think it should have been a pale ale. Honestly, it was a little too hoppy
Uh,
for my taste, but um, kind of
hmm.
bluish purple.
Hmm. Interesting.
I like pea flower tea, which is what
Hmm.
was one of the
Never
things in
had
it.
that. Sounds good, I think. So, all right. Well, we've given the people enough time. Alrighty. So, we'll be right back.
Hi, hello, and welcome to the Humanity, where we do the things with the stuff for the people. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tommy. And tonight, we've got a very special treat for y'all. At least I hope it's special and a treat. It was kind of fun, painful for me. We're gonna have our first attempt at doing video reactions this evening. So
Yeah, we'll see how this
that's
goes.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I watched. We got two. They're shorter videos, so hopefully we can get to both of them tonight. Like the first one's about 7 minutes. Second one's about five. So we'll
I
see.
think we can get to it, but we might go off quite a bit or not.
Yeah, I mean this. Yeah, this guy gives quite a lot of material to work with. But I figured this would be a good
Yeah,
beginner um, set of videos to work on because, like I said, this guy just gives like so many like tropes and cliches that it's almost like it feels like for an atheist reaction video thing, almost like a tutorial. It's like here's all the points you're going to be facing when they hit. So
yeah. He's also very much like people that we used to be around in uh, the man camp prayer stuff. Like
oh
down
yeah.
to appearance, he has a hat that I have. I have a very similar hat. I had it before it was cool. Damn it. But
Mhm.
yeah, appearance, personality, approach, all very similar to a on again, off again peer group that we had. So it gives a little
Yeah.
bit of an insight into where we're coming from too, like what our
Oh yeah. Hmm.
wilds were that we were in.
Oh yeah, our stomping grounds of stuff. So yeah, so the and there should be links to the original videos in the video description here if you want to check it out. We'll probably be watching through the whole thing anyway, but if you ever just wanted to go back and watch for entertainment, or if you just hate yourself that much, or if you just really like beards, so. But the channel is Gospelologian. Looks like this guy goes by Pastor
What?
Joe.
What?
Yeah.
Gospelologian? That sounds like gospel splooge. It just sounds like, I don't know. It just sounds like something that like gospelologian.
Oh, I'm loving this already. So,
Speaking of,
so
if you want to see like brain fart / splooge eyes, Trump gave a speech recently where,
gosh,
okay, I'll have to send you a link, but he was he was talking and being old on the outside basically, and he was like trying to talk along with this like emotional music, but he couldn't keep up with the chord changes, and so every time there was like a chord change or like a pitch like change, he would try to like emotionally match it, but he's just kind of riffing, and he's not talented in this area. And so there was like a significant chord change, and he just gets he loses his train of thought, and he tries to stay emotional, and he just kind of goes like, "Yet, oh, it's so sad." But he has like Nancy Pelosi kind of like checking out like expression, and it just looks like
buy his shoes.
God, don't. Oh,
Uh,
oh, they look bad. They're probably terrible. That's just so weird.
yeah, uh, so much more I could say about that, but really want to get to these videos. So again, looking at Gospelologian, how to witness to atheists. That's kind of weird, but it's actually there's a part 1 and part 2, and he titled them slightly differently between the two, hence the slightly awkward title that I gave to our video because I thought it was funny. Because like the first one is how to witness to atheists, and the second is how to witness to an atheist. Take 2. So, how to witness to an atheist is
I'm glad we're doing both
what
of
we're
these.
looking at tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and you'll see why there's 2 of them here. But yeah, so again, this is like very first time attempting a reaction video, so bear with us. I may at some point be just kind of lost in the video and just forget that I'm supposed to be reacting to it. So Matt, you may need to like remind me to pause every now and then. So I got a few places like I watched through these. So I watched through these recently, like today. Matt, I think you've maybe seen them, but it's been a while.
Mhm.
Kind of
Yeah.
forget. So be maybe like a little like blind watching for you. Blind watching. That's not a thing. I don't know.
No, it isn't.
All right. Well, you're going into it blind-ish. There. That's maybe what I meant. Anyway, so before I turn into too much of a train wreck, let's bring on our virtual guest for the evening. This
Pastor
is
Joe.
Pastor Joe. All right. And a 1 and a 2.
I am so pumped to be talking about today's questions. It is one of my favorite ones, and I'm going to share my secret weapon with you. So hang on to your hats for that, and we'll get into it. But let's look at how to witness to an atheist. And like I said, I'm going to share my secret weapon with you on this from the Bible that I think is really going to change the way you approach atheists. But if you came here looking for help, you're trying to witness to an atheist, I'm glad you're here. Let's talk about it. So
pause it for a
jumping
second.
right into this, an atheist is
Already like in the beginning where he says he's so pumped. Okay, he might actually be so pumped. But this sounds like play acting. Like this sounds like he has a script and like emotional connection with the audience in brackets is kind of like in the script. Or it actually says I'm so pumped to do this or whatever he said.
Yeah, the way he said it, yeah, wasn't that natural. And I've seen him in just like debates and interviews, and like, well, for the most part, yeah, that's just kind of how he talks. Yeah,
No, I get it. Like
yeah,
I feel that, and at the same
mhm,
time, there's some, maybe it's the slightly breathy tone, which we're probably going to hear a lot of, where somebody
mm,
takes their actual voice and adds a little bit more of a to it.
no,
And
hmm,
what that does, and is it switches your brain from logic processing to emotional processing, and so
mm,
now it takes whatever he's saying and it tells your brain to process it through emotion, which
yeah,
means any bullshit he says is got, if you connect with his emotions of saying the bullshit, uh, you'll find it believable or at least worth
hmm,
processing. And it's
yeah,
something that like pastors in general do, and I think they just discovered that it works, and that's why they do it.
yeah.
I don't think they're intentionally
Mhm.
being nefarious,
Well,
but
he actually, that concept will come up later when
hmm,
he discusses the approach of one of his favorite apologists. See if you're, I don't know if you remember who he mentions, like the one that he specifically calls out, but I'm excited to see your reaction when we get to it if you don't remember. But,
I blocked it out. I don't
yeah.
remember.
But first, looking back in the audience there, our good buddy Keith. Good
Hello,
evening,
Keith.
or it's probably early morning for you, I think. Our
Yeah,
friend from the UK across the pond, or whatever people say
I don't.
about.
We don't call it the pond here.
Yeah, it's kind of an ocean. That's like the opposite of a pond. Anyway, so let's just back him up a smidge because he's about to say, "Now that's a face." But I'm excited to like see the kinds of faces we see when we pause him. But let's see. Keith here says 1 a.m. Wow, wow.
Yeah,
I almost think, but I wonder if just like being like that kind of like staying up really late, like that kind of loopy, might be like the best headspace to be in to
oh,
watch
it
that.
might
I
be.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why Keith likes it so much. Anyway, all right. So he's actually about to get to something good here. So
Oh, good.
that I appreciate him for. So
Let's talk about it. So, jumping right into this, an atheist is someone that doesn't believe there is a God. That is the definition of an atheist. But let me
right off, like
False.
applaud him for what's that?
False.
No,
Wait,
I was
someone
going
who
to say
does
that.
God or doesn't. Hold on, I get confused.
Here, let's.
Continue.
Oh, let me back it up.
All right, all right, all
come
right.
here looking for help. You're trying to witness to an atheist. I'm glad you're. So, jumping right into this, an atheist is someone that doesn't believe there is a God. That is the definition of an atheist. But let
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
that's
he actually
accurate.
nailed. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to say like applause to him for actually properly defining atheist. That
yeah.
we don't see that very often.
No, often they'll say that there is
Yeah.
no God, and that
Hmm.
is a specific kind of atheist. But
Hmm. Yeah. So him saying that, yeah, just bel like doesn't believe there's a God, or I might for myself, I'd say actually believe there isn't, but yeah, not claiming to know, like not making a definitive statement. So yeah, just wanted to pause there and appreciate that because it immediately gets much worse. So strap in.
But let me tell you something that you need to understand going into. And I don't suggest you start a conversation with this, but it's knowledge that you need to interpret this well. First of all, as
is
I
it?
like to tell people, the A in atheist stands for angry. Here's the thing, no one doesn't believe there's a God. And
Oh my God! No.
He was doing so well. He was doing so well.
It's no. He's like, allow me to poison the well of the straw man I'm about to discuss. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
that,
that's a theme, like because the theme of this video is like four Christians like explaining to him, like him explaining to them like how to talk to atheists. But yeah, the whole
yeah.
thing is basically just poisoning the well. Like here's what because it's all about here's what atheists are really like. Here's what they're really thinking,
How
even though
how
like
how
yeah,
does it help anyone have a like a quality conversation with somebody with a different opinion to go into it assuming they're angry. Like, because if you assume
Mhm.
somebody is angry, then you assume you need to be defensive to some degree or protective or whatever. Like, that's not
Mhm.
a vulnerable, open conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
and it's just dumb that he starts out with like giving like a decent definition of atheist and then goes, A stands for angry. And then no, it means like whatever the Latin version of not means. Like
yeah. Yeah.
whatever
Like,
word comes next, not that.
yeah, like atypical or amoral or yeah. But this, I mean, just look at that smug douche look on his face. Yeah.
just just
Anyway.
just the inconsistency of effort. I swear it's got to be intentional or at least
Yeah.
so cognitive dissonancy protective that somebody
Hmm.
doesn't see it when yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Anyway, but it's all right. It gets better. So let's continue.
Good.
In fact, this is why we don't have anti-leprechaun or anti-unicorn clubs, because everyone knows leprechauns and unicorns don't exist. And so we don't create whole social clubs and organizations dedicated to letting little girls and little boys know that there's no such thing as unicorns. There's no such thing as leprechauns. This is why Santa Claus doesn't make half the people mad. We know he doesn't exist. Yeah, sure,
He
he
said that
extracts
with
from
like
Jesus, but he
the
doesn't
best
exist. He's
leprechaun
not real.
face I've ever seen anybody do. Like when he's like, he's like, oh, I thought of gold, don't you? Like,
But yeah, so yeah, so this is something that a lot of like Christians will bring up when talking about like why are atheists like why they even talk about it and like the whole thing with well we don't have all these groups of people saying there's no unicorns and no leprechauns and
true.
like do you okay but do these people like really not understand the difference like who is going around insisting that other people believe in unicorns and leprechauns or they're going to go to hell or going around saying like trying to affect legislation to do what the unicorns want us to do
Yeah,
like
or using their faith ethics to decide what is legal for a country. Like if you're a Supreme Court
mhm.
justice right now, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is a problem. And it's also not true that everyone knows there isn't leprechauns and unicorns. We have no
Mhm.
evidence of leprechauns or unicorns.
Mhm.
Um, we have reasons to believe there probably aren't. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I think a person can reasonably
yeah,
assume that they don't exist, but but
but then to apply the same kind of logic
are,
to yeah.
apparently they do exist. He says they're the national animal of Scotland, and I think this dingbat is a leprechaun.
Oh yeah, he definitely is giving off angry Irish vibes. But
Yeah, I do not disagree. I do not disagree.
uh yeah. And the same kind of argument should apply, like to say, like we know that like we don't have sufficient evidence of leprechauns. Like I think it was not
Hmm.
unreasonable to say, right, and also for the same reason, we don't have sufficient evidence of God. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, and I also, if you notice, like how he when he mentioned Santa Claus, he just had to throw in that little like, oh yeah, sure, he does distract from Jesus, and like because I'm just like getting flashbacks to like that whole aspect of evangelicalism where it's like you're trying to tell all these kids, oh, we're celebrating Christmas, but don't make the presents the thing you're most excited about. Got to make sure the Jesus thing is the thing you're most excited about. And I'm going, okay, yeah, sure, definitely more excited about the Jesus thing, but I was not more excited about the Jesus thing. But then I also felt guilty about it. So
Right, I
that
was
was
just gonna say that
fun.
really just because you can't do that when you're a kid. You're like kids are wired to be selfish.
Mhm.
It's part of how they would survive, I think. Like
Uh,
demanding things, you know.
mhm.
Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
the
So
guilt thing.
let's let the leprechaun continue.
not real. And we don't have organizations dedicated to spreading information about how it's not real, writing books about how they're not real, because they're not real, and we all know that. The fact that you're mad at something, the fact that you're against something, is actually evidence that it exists, which is kind of hysterical backfire for the whole atheist worldview. They wouldn't be upset about this. They wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't real. So that's a really fun fact to start your day off with. The reason.
Wait. Yeah. No. Okay. Just because we talk about it, just because we talk about something as a problem, and we disagree with whatever the stance is, doesn't mean that we are automatically justifying or validating the opposing view. Like, okay, we do kind of validate it as something worth responding to, but like not the truth of it.
We validate like it's like the existence of the belief and how pervasive it is and how seriously other people take it, but not validating the actual quality of the thing itself.
And why? And the inverse would have to be true also. So, like, if he's thinking it's worth his attention to respond and have people talk to atheists, then isn't he validating that God isn't real? Like,
exactly.
Of course not. But if you believe the other, if you have to believe that like the opposite of something is still the same kind of thing, like you know what I mean? It's not like blue is the opposite of apple. Like that's not how that works.
Yeah, I mean, because like the example I often think of, because I'm pretty sure this guy's a young Earth creationist, I mean, based on some of the other people mentioned. But I mean, so does this mean that Ken Ham actually thinks that evolution is real because of how often he talks about that and how often he gets angry about that?
Or does he think homosexuality is valid and worthwhile because he is all ate up with the gays? Like, does that mean that he wants to be ate up by the gays? I don't know.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not judging. I mean, obviously, you know,
wait,
good for him. I hope he gets some.
Is there a Ken Ham? Is there a time where Ken Ham says the word gobble?
Ooh.
Because that would be like if we did a short of this little segment, that would be an awesome thing. Like he wants to be ate up by the gays, and he goes gobble.
So anyone in the audience knows, like if anyone wants to do like a quick web search for us, like try to find a video clip or something of Ken Ham saying gobble, and
or anything related, really.
Yeah,
gobble adjacent.
Yeah, like munch would be a good one.
Or just him going,
that would be spectacular. But all right,
so we could reverse it, and so like it ends on a higher note. Like he's like,
Anyway.
Oh,
I love it. But now back to things I don't love, but things I love not loving.
Reason they're mad about it. And the reason I say that atheists are mad at God, that they don't believe in him, what they're essentially trying to do is get back at God for not doing things the way they want. Most people, when you talk to them about God and you're like, well, hey, why don't you believe in God? Here's how that conversation will go 90% of the time.
Yeah,
before he goes
that,
into the thing.
But real quick, I need to apparently... Keith, probably a good call there. Say, man, I'm not typing gobble into search engine. Lord knows where I would end up. That's a good point. So yeah, search with caution. Make sure you're in like incognito mode if you like share your computer with loved ones who may be concerned about your searches. But yes.
Well, I hope turkeys are the first thing that comes up, really. But although I don't know do they have turkeys in the UK?
Yeah, Keith, I'm pretty sure they do. I mean, it's good not to just assume, but yeah.
Right.
But yeah, Keith, let us know, or anyone else watching from the UK, or anyone who just knows. Like, do you have turkeys?
The sound they make is gobble gobble. So when I said gobble, I'm thinking he must have said something like that during a Thanksgiving AIG news thing or something.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what he just said about what did he just say?
I can go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. Turkey's confirmed. Yes, we have pretty much everything you have. All right.
Well,
we're so similar. We're so similar, you and I. All right.
atheists are mad at God, that they don't believe in him. What they're essentially trying to do is get back at God for their for not doing things the way they want. Most
Okay, yeah,
people, when
that's
you
what it was.
talk to them,
Like, isn't that what prayer is for? That God isn't doing the things we want. Like, isn't that like you pray because you want something different than God was already doing? So like, I we're and according to the Psalms, because David was like super pissed at God, and occasionally in the Psalms, like we're allowed to be angry at
Oh yeah.
God. We're allowed to be angry because God isn't doing the things we want. In fact, we're supposed to like knock on that door until somebody answers and gives us free shit out the door or something.
Right.
And yeah, so this is still feeling like projection a lot.
Yeah. And because this is something we've talked about before, just that whole reaction you'll get from Christians when they talk about like why people deconvert. But it's this super dismissive thing of saying, well, they're just angry at God. That's all that is. And like,
Well, not just maybe
yeah,
angry, but
yeah,
not just angry.
but even if it is, like, that seems like a legitimate reason. Like, why is that not a legitimate reason to leave a religion or a faith or whatever? Especially
Yeah.
given that Christianity, like, we're always told it's a relationship. Well, if it's a relationship that causes you hurt, why?
Yep.
Like, you're supposed to leave that relationship. So
Yeah.
it's just, like I said, it's just so dismissive of the things that people go through and the things that the church does to them, and the things, not even if, like, because in my case, like, I was never actually hurt by the church or anything, but it's more, and that's not why, and any kind of hurt that I did feel from just my beliefs or different things that I thought about myself or reality or anything, like, it definitely, I can see how it definitely caused some damage, but that's not why I left. It's more like since leaving, like looking back in retrospect, like, oh, here's the shit that this did to me and kind of fucked me up in several ways.
Yeah.
So yes, so now I'm angry about a lot of things, but I think for damn good reason. So to hear people say, well, you're just angry, as if that's like not a reason, like fuck all the way off with that.
Well, like if you can get into like emotion is like the big route into religions for like everyone. Like sensory and
Exactly.
emotional experiences. So like why isn't the same, like why does leaving the faith have to be like sufficiently logical when that
Good
was
point.
not how people are convinced to join a faith, or like why they want to, like it's emotional and sensory experiences, so that should be equally valid. Like if you have to be in a good mood about leaving a faith in order for it to be valid, if that's like part of the hang up, like you don't walk away from stuff that like that felt good. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not typically, unless you're making a logical choice. So yeah, I get the knee jerk reaction, but it really feels like projection that like there's a soft spot, like a a lot of Christians don't value their emotional coming to the faith. They're like looking down on it, or now that they're in it, they got to justify being in it, and they're like logic or reasons get pretty heavy. Then I don't know. I just don't understand like the problem with an emotional reason for leaving a faith.
Yeah. Makes no sense. Speaking of making no sense, back to the leprechaun.
Hey.
to them about God, and you're like, well, hey, why don't you believe in God? Here's how that conversation will go 90% of the time. Well, if God was so good, why did bad things happen? So either he's not good or he's not powerful. What they do is they hit you with...
I mean, that sounds exactly like you, Matt.
It does.
That's such a wonderful impression. Yeah.
Wait, didn't he kind of hit the refuting point pretty solidly? I mean, he did it in a weird voice and a stupid face with stupid effects and crap, but like,
what do you mean?
Yeah, then God's not all good or he's not all powerful. Like that's...
Yeah, I mean that is the argument. That's
a valid retort. Like just because you
Yeah.
do it in a stupid voice doesn't mean it's not valid. Like that's not how
Mhm.
you refute
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So but no, see, that's exactly how Sam Harris sounds when he talks about that. I was spot on. So, yeah.
You with the problem of evil. Philosophical conundrum for a good while. If God is love, if God is good, if God is powerful, why do bad things happen in the world? There are a lot of answers to that. My favorite being that
Are
God
they
is
good?
using man's sinfulness to display his glory and love for us in an even brighter
Oh
way.
no!
You can't see
Look,
light if there's no such thing as darkness. There's an equal
that's what assholes do. But no,
No, that
if you're like all this shit that's happening to you, that's terrible. You know, I realize it's bad for you, but it makes me look great. That
yeah.
we lock
That'd
those
be
people up.
like yeah, that'd be like if my oncologist like later revealed to me, "Oh, by the way, I actually gave you cancer so I could show you how awesome of an oncologist I was by healing you." Like, in what other situation is that considered a good thing?
Just because you
To
use the word glory as a noun doesn't make it like. I guess glory is a noun,
Mhm.
so that was stupid thing to say. But
Yeah.
like,
Plus,
just because you call it
yeah,
glory doesn't make it non-offensive. Uh,
yeah. And while we're talking, I'm just gonna hide his ugly mug. So, yeah, make you full size there again. Yeah.
I'm full
So,
size.
not just the fun size, but yeah, that. Yeah, not your fun size distracted me. I can't remember what I was saying.
I know.
Talking about oh yeah. So because a lot of time this whole argument of well, all the bad things we go through, it's used for his glory. I feel like a lot of time this comes from a mindset of like a very like first world problems kind of thing. 'Cause, like when a lot, at least from my background, a lot of evangelical, more like well off like type circles. When we talk about going through struggles, we're talking about things like oh like I got sick for a while, or having a really hard time at school. I got some really hard
Yeah.
projects and tests, or oh man, my job's been super stressful lately. Like we think, okay, yeah, these are like potential like character building things, but no, like you have to look at like whole picture, like that famous clip from ah blanking on his name. He played Oscar Wilde in a movie about Oscar Wilde, uh, famous atheist, Stephen
Uh,
Fry
oh yeah, yeah.
being interviewed and like being asked like if he found out there was a god, like and you got to heaven, like what would be the first thing you say to him? And his said like he'd ask him like bone cancer in children, really? What's that all about? So you got to think about stuff like that too. Like you
Oh no,
can't just yeah
what he said was yeah, he said that, but then like he would his first he said, "How dare you?"
there you
I was
yes
like,
that was
that was awesome.
yeah yeah we might I might post that video to our Facebook page later, but yeah, if not, look that up. Stephen Fry talking about bone cancer in children and asking God about it. Fantastic video. Like he goes on and like, and you could tell like the guy who's interviewing, he was getting super uncomfortable with him.
Well,
But
you wanted an honest,
yeah,
honest answer, I guess.
mhm, yeah. All right, you ready to dive back in?
Yep.
Equal and opposite thing for everything. That's one of my favorite answers for the problem of evil. We can go into
Really?
depth into that more, but atheists are angry at God for not doing things the way they want them done. So when you start dealing with an atheist, what I like to do is
Yeah,
look at
yeah. Like
I mean,
that's
kind of. But
yeah. So I mean, are you angry at God, Matt? Is that what the deal is?
I,
Like, do you really believe in him, but you're just angry? Is that
I am angry that things aren't the way they should be if goodness is the goal. Like,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's valid.
I'm angry at like just like bad stuff happens to people. Period. And a lot of it, I think all of it is cause and effect. Like it's not intentional. There's no like moral or ethical reason why it happens. And that really sucks. It sucks that so much in life is painful, like physically painful, emotionally painful, and it sucks that like we evolved to have those things be unpleasant so that we could avoid them. But like, did it have to be so painful? Like,
Right.
So yeah, it's like sometimes I have a hard time with um like I'm ADHD and autistic, and so I've got attention and sensory challenges and sometimes social challenges that comes and goes. And like it's like regular life can be really hard sometimes, and yeah, I get pissed about that. I don't like it. Just
Yeah.
it just sucks that people just being them is extra hard. Uh, and
Right.
I could say that I was like adamantly confused with God in the past, but I don't know if I ever got like mad, because I think I always just figured like this was the way it had to go. Like I think I kind of always knew to some degree in my gut that like um, things just happen in a particular order. Because I could always see that like, well, of course this thing was going to happen because that thing happened.
Yeah.
What about you? Like you said, you never really got mad at God, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I can definitely say in my entire life I cannot remember a single time where I was actually mad at God. Now, for the majority of my time as a Christian, like being very fundamentalist, I just thought I wasn't allowed to be. So it was
Oh
more
yeah,
like, so I wouldn't. It's stuff to me like that wasn't even a concept that entered my mind. But then later, as I like was getting into deconstruction and being more like progressive and like just saying like that whole angle of, oh, well, God's only responsible for the good stuff, so anything that bad that happens, there's no reason to be mad at him at all. That's, you know, you gotta be mad at like the people doing the thing, or, you know, just be mad at Satan, or be mad at just evil and sin itself, you know, and be mad at our brokenness, or, you know, bullshit like that. But and then obviously then becoming atheist, and again, not because of any anger or, you know, anything like that, but just becoming unconvinced once I allowed myself to really look into it. But yeah, like I said, yeah, never been angry at God. And then obviously now being an atheist, not believing he's there, like I'm angry at the concept a lot. I'm angry at the things that belief in him has led to. I'm angry at the things that
yeah.
I used to believe and how they affected me and the things that I'm still dealing with. But
And being
yeah.
angry at the concept doesn't mean you're personifying that concept.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, in a way,
Right.
it is, I guess, in our heads, because it's like it's hard to be mad at rocks or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh,
Now I'm going to try.
so yeah,
Challenge
like I
accepted.
guess in a way, it is personifying an idea in order to have like interpersonal feelings towards it, like anger or something. uh, but like it's not the same as more like a blip of just how emotions work. It's not
Mm.
meaning we
Yeah.
agree with cleft beardy.
Yeah, that's, yeah, like his beard has a canyon, but we'll get back to that in a minute. But first, thanks again, Keith. Isn't that the story of Adam and Eve through the world's fucked up, though? Sorry, though, not through, though. The world's fucked up and life's hard. A hardness people have been trying to make sense of for thousands of years. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. I think there's, and I'm sure you're
Yeah,
well aware, Keith, like there are so many things going on in that story. But yeah, that's definitely part of it, is like trying to explain why is life
yeah,
hard. Like, so yeah, I think that like so many things in the Bible or any like religious text or like so many other texts, like looking at it completely literally or trying to look at it literally, that's like the worst way to look at it, because you're missing
yeah,
so much of what it's actually trying to do. So like for the parts where in the Bible where there actually is some good stuff, like yeah, you got to know how to read it, how to look for what it's really trying to say. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, we're only like 2.5 minutes into video one, so let's this may become a two-parter. Like this was a two-parter. So like his videos are a two-parter. Yeah. I'm good with the words tonight. All right.
look at classical apologetics for starters, and then move into presuppositional apologetics. I'm going to talk about what those two things are in just a minute. In
Why
fact,
is that a
presuppositional is
category?
my secret weapon.
So, like,
Presupposition is not a good way to start a convincing
Right.
discussion.
yeah, that's that's what he considers his secret weapon. So for people who aren't familiar with presuppositional apologetics, like I don't even know how to technically define it, but it's basically just you're essentially just starting with the assumption God is real, the Bible is the word of God, because like you have to start and there is some truth to the fact that okay, you have to start with some sort of baseline assumption at some level. Like they just start there is that Bible is the word of God and go from there.
But if one of the things that you're presupposing, it's kind of like skipping a step in convincing someone. Like you have to first assume something is an integral part of whatever you're trying to argue. Like this isn't like a like for like discussing anything. Like you have to presuppose that this is real. That we can call this reality, and you know. So yeah, there's some level of presupposition, and I guess you could say like assuming something is real is integral to like any argument, but when that presupposition starts to encroach more and more on like what you're trying to prove or explain, and it's in the exact same category as the thing you're trying to convince somebody of, that's when it becomes more of a problem. Like, how could you argue that that God exists without first assuming that there is an irreducible cause for everything or something, like, you know what I mean? Because in that case, like everything could be cyclical. It could be like the snake eating its tail. Like when you get to the end, it's just the beginning again. So another way you could call presupposing very often is circular logic. Like assume the thing that you're trying to conclude in order to conclude it.
Right. And he'll go into it more later, I think. But yeah, I don't think he ever actually like just flat out defined what presuppositional apologetics is or whatever. But
weapon, and I'm excited to tell you about that. Classical apologetics, there's several great arguments to come across this. My favorite argument is the watch in the field argument. And so when I dealt with some atheists actually on the boardwalk of New Jersey not too long ago.
Yeah, so I'm going to experiment with some different angles here and so for people who aren't familiar with the watchmaker argument, I think it was William Paley who put this forth. It said basically like, so it's basically like the argument from design or the teleological argument. I've also heard it called, basically saying like, we know like if you're just like out in a field or on a beach or something and you find a watch on the ground, you're like, oh, this was clearly designed. So and I guess you're supposed to extrapolate, okay, well, just because of how complex and how orderly and everything works together in a watch. So then you kind of take that out and say, oh, we'll look at the universe and like people and creation and planets and stars and like solar systems and galaxies and all this stuff and how ordered and like complex all that is. Like, well, if a watch was designed, then clearly all of this had to be designed too. I mean, look how well it works. I mean, ignore all the places where it doesn't actually work, but yeah, that's basically that argument. So yeah, so I'll let him continue now.
Yeah, there's more to say, but yeah.
Long ago, I used this illustration. I said, if you were going in a field and you found a watch in that field, how do you think that watch got there? And they both said, somebody must have dropped their watch. And I said, what? You mean you don't think this is a watch field? And if I fertilize it and plow it and water it, that it'll start growing Rolexes and I'll get rich harvesting my watches? And they're like,
I bet that tone goes real well. Yeah. Sometimes I bet the gyrations and the attitude is amazing when he's talking to people.
Yeah. So it's the argument that, well, because there's like I don't think he gets into this, but there's that similar argument how it's kind of related to this, how like the odds of all this coming together the way it's like a tornado going through a Boeing factory and assembling a 747. It's like, that's not how planes work, but it is how biology works. Like, we literally, like, we've, whenever
Well,
we
it's
see
not.
something that we call a plane, it only happens because like people designed it. But when it comes to like just life forms
Mhm.
evolving, like that just happens. That's how biology works. That's how DNA works. DNA makes organisms. DNA, like airplanes are not made of DNA. Watches are not made of DNA. That's why we do not just see them, or and it's not made of anything in, well, I guess essentially when you get down to the elements that it's made of. But yeah, hopefully you know what I mean. Like, it's not the same kind of structure that we do just see happen naturally
Well,
all the
yeah,
time.
that's right.
It's
Yeah,
stars or
like
planets or animals or plants or yeah.
yeah, we assume that it's made by some kind of intelligence. The watch, because there is nothing like that like we have seen in nature ever. Um, but
Hmm.
it does have characteristics that are similar to things that we've seen people do, and like that's one of the things that atheists will say is that what like God and Jesus and that kind of mythology and just like God mythologies in general um, don't comport with any kind of reality that I've experienced, and so like I can't say that. Like if someone tried to describe a watch to you and you had never seen one, and all you had seen was natural things, like you would probably just assume that it doesn't exist, and or this is something that they have made up and it is so fantastical that like it can't possibly be true, and that would be a reasonable conclusion to come to. It's the same kind of thing for a lot of people who are atheists. Like they're atheists because um, either, well, in our case, we had a shift in our perception of reality, and I think we shifted our perception of reality in the way that we did was because we stopped looking at what we had been told the way things were by
Hmm.
whoever, and we're like, okay, how do things really look to me, and just basing it on
Hmm.
our personal experiences and perceptions and sensors and all that stuff. And so like
Exactly.
if we had never ever seen anything like a watch, or God, like it would make sense that uh at least we would say I don't think what you're presenting is the way it is. And so like I'm definitely agnostic now, and I'm like, okay, if there is something godlike, it's not how it's been described in any kind of formal thing
Yeah.
that has lasted centuries. Um,
Hmm.
there's
Yeah.
a much better chance it lasted centuries because we were comfortable with it, but not necessarily because it was true.
Yeah. Hmm. No. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah. But I think maybe my favorite thing about the watchmaker argument is how it kind of accidentally implies that nature doesn't look designed. Because the whole point of it is
Oh
you're
yeah,
seeing this thing that's supposed to be like this watch is like it looks clearly designed in contrast to the field or beach or whatever you found it on. Well,
but
if
that's
that's
also
the case,
designed.
yeah, but no, but you're saying this thing clearly looks designed because it's laying in this other thing that apparent that what you're saying it clearly doesn't look designed. Yeah, I just love the kind of accidental like self own
Yeah, are you saying that
on
like
that one.
nature is less intelligently designed? Like, are you saying
Mhm.
that our handiwork in the watch is more impressive than God's intelligent design? Is he just a sloppy bitch when it comes to making things?
That's what I'm hearing. But all right, more from the leprechaun.
Exactly. So the fact that there's
See,
something
he
that's
agrees.
clearly designed in the middle of a field where we know if you left a barn out in that field for 100 years, it just disintegrate into nothing. We know that for a watch to be there, someone dropped the watch. We know there's a God because we
Somebody
have
dropped that
intelligently
barn.
designed things.
Yeah, I mean, just in that little snippet, it sounded like he was actually agreeing with us. He's like, "Yeah, this clearly designed watch in the middle of this field. That's
It's like, what are you saying? Like a barn rots? What was that thing about? But a watch doesn't? And so, like, watches are better than barns? I don't know where he was going with that.
yeah. Well,
And
let's
then, like,
find
you
out.
said, dropped a watch, and then the barn was dropped. English is weird.
Yeah. Who drops a barn?
Things all around us. We know these things don't pop up from nothing. We've never been walking around the road and bam, molecules align to give us a new car. It doesn't work that way.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I mean, not
Damn it.
suddenly, but yeah, molecules align to make us a car. Like,
Well, yes,
everything's
but
made with molecules, just not suddenly.
Yeah. See that look on his face. He knows. He knows.
And so even atheists have to apply their own logic to try to understand these things. And I always challenge the atheists, hey, if you wouldn't use this logic to explain a watch in a field, why would you use this logic to answer away your problem of an eternal destination and God that immediately affects you right here on Earth?
But because those two things aren't related, like at all.
Yeah,
That's
I wouldn't
why.
do that because it's not a good thing to do. Like, it doesn't mean like I shouldn't also do. Yeah.
Yeah, basically because I'm not as dumb as you apparently think I am. That's
Oh, that's
short
the thing.
answer.
No, you have to assume that the atheist, if you're a Christian and you are a little sensitive, vulnerable with your faith, like if you're not just content with it, and you're like there's some fragility to it, then you have to assume that atheists are not thinking clearly, like that they have made a less than intelligent choice for emotional reasons. Because then what does that make you if you're a Christian in that case? If you're the opposite, that makes you more intelligent, more logical, and less emotional. It's like
Yeah.
I really like that phrase from Greg Boyd where he says how you view God says more about you than it says about God. I think that's also true about how people view other people, specifically when especially when it's a negative thing. That's like a dead giveaway for how someone criticizes themselves internally. Like, however they are willing to criticize you, they have also criticized themselves, and in the same way. But it's a reveal that if like you praise somebody for a positive attribute, that is something you are also comfortable praising yourself for. So
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it's a giveaway. But I think it's more potent to notice that giveaway when someone is being antagonistic and revealing their weakness at the same time.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now for some less than good stuff. I think we're getting close to the part I'm really looking forward to you reacting to.
And they usually just kind of blow that off or whatever, and that's fine. That's their issue. But here's
Yeah, no shit. They just blow it off. Dude.
But that's their problem. It sounds like you're making it your problem by talking about it. But
the dismissiveness of this kind of attitude just.
And at the same time, like all the energy being spent on refuting it. But whatevs.
Yeah, she's like, and what does he mean by they just blow it off? Like, is it just they just say that makes absolutely no fucking sense? What the hell is wrong with you?
Right. That if you were
It's like how are you supposed to intelligently respond to that? It's like it's just so fucking stupid. It's like, so yes, you blow that off because these atheists he's talking with probably didn't consider it worth their time to, and they were probably a little too polite to just explain to this guy what an absolute dumbass he was being when he.
It's like another smidge of poisoning the well too.
Yeah, I'm getting worked up.
Here's the secret weapon, and here's what I like to point people to. Number one is every atheist deep down actually believes two things. They know they have an eternal destination, and they know.
Do you know that you have an eternal destination, Matt?
No. Why would I know that? I like that idea. I think we're all kind of wired to like the idea of good things lasting forever.
Yeah.
But that's not proof.
I mean, there's a reason we came up with these concepts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do not know that I have an eternal destination. That was part of my whole deal. Literally like staring death in the face, and then having to come to terms with that, and then what death means. Like, yeah, I really have no reason to believe that there's any kind of afterlife at all. Now, like I've said, willing to be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, but yeah, it's yeah. So let's see what else we know.
And they know they are guilty before God. And this is your secret.
Wait.
So atheists,
That
people
was
who
so
don't believe in
loaded.
God.
That was so few words and so loaded. He's a good pastor. I mean, this is like and like just the gish galloping, which is where you put so many different points into like such a short spoken time period that like it's impossible to all of it or to process all of it unless you fucking pause it like we are. But
Right.
like what's he's doing it in such a conversational way that like it just it's like the subtlest of floods. But okay, we know that we're guilty before God. Okay, first of all, that means we have to know there's a God. We have to know that like God is the arbiter of what's right and wrong.
Which we don't.
Like we have to, right, and we have to like assume that that's unchangeable. What's right and wrong,
we don't.
and that like there's such a thing as being guilty of that. Like that means like guilt and innocence. Like I don't. That's like a legal definition. Like, do they have to like also assume that there's like some kind of legal framework where like there's a judge and you can be guilty and
yeah, I mean, going into this, like one of the things I was a little nervous about was like how like where we'd be pausing the video because like I'm always wary of like, oh, we're gonna leave him on like him making like a bad face, like a bad freeze frame. But after watching him again, I don't care anymore about making him look stupid. I'm fine with freeze frames like this. And also it kind of pisses me off that like they're at the bottom where it says it has my name under him just because I'm sharing my computer. I guess that's how Restream works. But yeah. But as Keith says here, it all boils down to penal substitution bullshit. Which
it does.
Which is this clown's all about. So
that's exactly right. God trying to put his penis where the balls are.
Something to substitute as penal.
Trying to put his penal where the balls shit.
Oh,
just right, on a design and like I don't know, artsy note. He has the wrong background for his skin color. Like he chose a background that makes him as purple and red as possible, and just in appearance.
Yeah. Oh well, that's. I mean, I'm glad you noticed that, but that's like, still just angry about my name being under his face. Anyway.
Secret weapon because the Bible tells us about it in both of these verses. We know that
so that's why it's a secret weapon for atheists, because the Bible says it.
No, it does. Okay, and first of all, I can already tell you I'm probably going to disagree with his interpretation of these verses, like in relation to things. But also, like, that's some presupposition stuff too, because like you're assuming that first the Bible is valid for what you think it is, and that we think it's a good reference material for a conversation. I think it could be depending on what you're talking about, but not this.
Right. So let's see what he has to say. We're getting real close to the part I'm excited about you seeing and reacting to. So.
The law of God is written on the heart of man. We know that every man knows that he is destined for an eternity somewhere, and they know that deep down. So
based on that little flash thing he just put up with what did he put up there? It was like Jeremiah something.
Yeah, let's see. I bring up back to full here. Yeah, he has set eternity in the human heart. Ecclesiastes 3:11.
that's some proof texting, because that is probably not all of verse 11, and like the why or therefore is missing. This is, I kind of hate that font too.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, the eternity font. The rest of it that's in black, that's all right. It's just pretty basic. I mean, it's all
But
caps.
that eternity font has been so used over and over again. Anyway, yeah, that's, well, I guess it's better than papyrus. But
all right. So coming up, he's gonna reference like one of his favorite apologists that he likes to model his approach after.
wait, before I lose my train of thought, I because if I'll probably lose it once we get there. The
Cool.
verse he just put up there about like the God's law being written on our hearts, like if that's true, I think he's making the assumption that like he knows what that is. So like if there's a God, omni everything, then guidelines for life, just kind of like how it is, would be kind of written on our hearts, so to speak, in quotes. Like we would just know how to live to some degree. Like we would know how to survive, and like in a way, it's kind of true, because social aspects of humanity and like using the environment to make tools and problem solving, like all these things kind of like are biologically written on our whatever. So if something is written on our heart, it should be obvious. Like we should be able to say, okay, here's something that all people have in common, regardless of culture. Like what kinds of things do we all do that helps improve our lives and people around us and stuff like that. Like, so like if it is written on our hearts, what is written on everybody's heart? Like it's clearly not this, because if it was, you wouldn't have to explain it to us. Or you would say this is a metaphorical representation of what is written on our hearts. Like you wouldn't lead into it like this book is written on your heart. Like first of all, that book is redundant if that's the case. And yeah.
All right. So let's hear who he likes to model his approach after.
We know that every man knows that he is destined for an eternity somewhere, and they know that deep down. So I actually really prefer a Ray Comfort based style of evangelism. If you are not,
no, that's why I blocked it out, because I was like, what? Banana Man? Like bananas are like they fit.
Hold on, I'm gonna.
Who want to put a penis in them? Like Ray Comfort talking about his banana thing, where he's like, bananas are clearly shaped to go in the mouth.
I'm gonna see if I can find that. Actually,
they're perfectly shaped for the human hand, and like, it's like, no, man, just it's just how it grew.
Do you want me to see if I can? You want me to see if I can find that clip just so people can like see what we're talking about?
No, Ray Comfort is.
Well, here I have it here. If you want me to.
If apologetics was a circus, he's in the sideshow. Like he's the bearded lady. You know, he's like he's barely doing circus well.
Do you want to watch the banana clip or?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's see here.
Like it's so bad, it's good.
There, give me just a second. It's from his channel here. Let me pull this up. All right. Okay, I have to unshare this guy real quick. Bear with me, folks.
Ray Comfort's just bad at everything. Oh, good.
So yeah, Ray Comfort. He's a gentleman on the left there with Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, they are each other's sidekick.
Also, They're each other's something. So,
And I've since learned that when you really look at the evidence, the truth is it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to believe in God. You've really got to ignore the facts.
my
But it's funny
all-time
how we
favorite
equate
phrase.
the word atheism with intellectual, when
Yeah.
it's the exact opposite.
That's right.
Kirk, I have an
It's
intellectually
cute.
stimulating theory. It's my theory of where the
That's it.
soda can may have come from.
Yeah.
Billions of years ago, there was a
Here,
big
let's
bang in space.
skip
Nobody
into
knows what caused the
right
big
here.
suction. Hold this, Kirk.
So-
Behold the
Yeah,
atheist's
hold that, Kirk.
nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side
Speaking of
there are
suction,
3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other. You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface. It has outward indicators of inward contents: green, too early; yellow, just right; black, too late. Now, if you go to the top of the banana, you'll find, as with the soda can makers, they placed a tab at the top. So God has placed a tab at the top. When you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face. You'll find the wrap biodegradable has perforations. Notice how gracefully it sits over the human hand. Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry. It's just the right shape. It's chewy, easy to digest, and it's even curved toward the face to make the whole process so much easier. Seriously, Kirk, the whole of creation testifies to the genius of God's creative hand.
It
hold on, I need to. I seem to.
The banana and the hand are perfectly made.
Oh, I missed it. I need to. Oh,
The mustache is not making it less creepy.
oh, oh gosh.
I know.
Ah.
And so, he's one of the apologetic celebrities, especially for street epistemology
Mhm.
stuff. Like,
So many things to talk about there. Like one, like, oh, it's shaped perfectly for the hand and mouth. Like, oh, yeah, just like my dick. But then, how do you explain pineapples? Are those perfectly shaped? Does that mean God didn't design those? Or cows? We eat those, but those don't really fit in your hand or your mouth very easily.
and there's so many things. Well, first of all, like, I don't know if that could have been written better to have like more like intentionally accidental sounding innuendos. Just like it's squirting in your face, and
yeah,
like,
I'd forgot about that.
and the way it curves towards your mouth, and it's just easy to put in there. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my god!
The non-slip surface. I mean, you just need to use. It sounds like he needs to use some lube there, but
Okay, just on a brainy note, bananas were not originally naturally that shaped. They were
no.
more like football shaped, and
Mhm.
um,
Yep.
and American football shaped.
Yes.
And they look like that because they were bred by humans over a long period of time.
Severe genetic modification of various means. Yeah.
Yeah, they were cultivated to look that way by humans. That's not how they showed up originally. Oh, that's good stuff.
So,
I don't.
yeah. I hope this is one of the freeze frames that like YouTube chooses to be the thumbnail. All right. Well, enough of that clown. So let's get back to. We may not get through both of these videos tonight,
No, and it just.
but
I kind of liked where we stopped it, where he like turns to Kirk and he's like, "So Kirk," he turns like, "Yes, Daddy." Share me your wisdom about the fruits. All right. So yeah,
well,
that is the guy that Pastor Joe. I think that was his name, right?
mhm,
That's the
yeah,
guy who
Pastor
Pastor
Joe.
Joe is patterning himself after. He's already failing because he's doing a better job than Ray Comfort, honestly.
Yeah, like he hasn't been talking about like shoving banana shaped things in his mouth and anything like that. Again, like it's not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean,
He gave that
probably thinks
banana the
there is.
Freudian slip. That's what happened there.
You Freudian slipped on that banana peel. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else. So now that we know he's a huge fan of that,
Yes.
let's hear what else he has to say.
If you are not familiar with Ray Comfort, the Living Waters YouTube channel is kind of the main place I go to see that. I've watched a bunch of their videos with youth groups and stuff to help train kids in evangelism. But Ray Comfort has a great way. He works people down the idea that they can make.
You're showing that shit to children? What the fuck is wrong with you?
They're probably laughing their ass off if you showed them that banana clip. Like,
yep.
Make mistakes, and so they shouldn't be the ultimate authority. He works down the ideas of we all stand guilty before God and we need a savior. He's really great at that. But when you are approaching,
no, he's not.
Yeah, he's actually not. If you, I think we should watch some. We should maybe like do this with some of his videos too, because they're
like
so awful.
When he's on the street talking to strangers, and first of all, they don't show all the ones where the people just probably call him an asshole and walk away. But he is,
or give good answers.
It's the toughest of sells. Like, he is very aggressive. It is very creepy and culty. The way he tries to kind of like mind control people into giving the answer he wants, and sometimes they give certain answers just to like make him stop harping on it. And like it's clear that just like sure, whatever makes this end faster without me being rude, you know. So. No, he's not really good at getting people to see something. He's really good at kind of manhandling people verbally and trying to force them to agree with him.
Yeah.
No, it's borderline. If he was doing this routinely to somebody, it would be considered like mind control tactics. It's not great.
Yeah. All right, back to Joe.
Approaching an atheist. Here's my thing. Number one, you need to know they actually believe God exists, and that's something you need to keep in your back pocket.
Why talk to him? Why talk to him?
Yeah, well, keep that in your back pocket. It's a much more convenient place from which you can shove that idea up your ass. That.
Yep. Shortest distance.
Yeah.
Or better yet, just already put it in your ass.
Just keep it in your ass.
Save time, save everybody's time. Yeah, put it right back where you got it. Why does he look like a Mussolini?
They're mad at God. Look for the hurt. Because when you can find the emotional force that's driving their argument and realize that this is not a logic-based argument, because logically, there's a God. This is an...
Convincing. So convincing. Duh. Just start the video, say duh, and end it. Like,
again, just the condescension and dismissiveness is just...
And that idea to like find their hurt, find their emotional hurt, and then leverage it for yourself. That's fucking disgusting. That's gross.
Yeah.
That's abusive. That's depending on what you do with the hurt next. Like, it could be gaslighting. Like, it's no, don't find somebody's hurt and use it for a goal. Never do that. That's always what terrible people do.
Yeah, especially when it's not there. Again, this is just him assuming
that too. Yeah,
that it's there. But I said especially if it's not there. But I don't know which especially. But if it actually is there and you're manipulating that, that's probably worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fair to say that there is. I don't know what he would consider hurt, but I think it's fair to say that like somebody has left Christianity because it was harmful to them, and they realized that maybe it was good at some point, and then it outlived its usefulness or goodness. Maybe it was never good, but it was like the best you could handle at the time. I don't know. like there. I think if something's harmful, then it probably did hurt you in some way. But I don't think I think what he's saying it as hurt is like a church or a church leader specifically did something that was hurtful to you, and like you're like, oh, I'm hurt, so I'm what the fuck off, everybody. And
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. Keep talking. I'm just getting another beer.
and if we are, and if someone is hurt, he's kind of assuming that hurt is a waste of time to address as legitimate. Like he's kind of assuming that if there is a hurt, it's illegitimate.
Yeah.
And that is some sneaky ass gaslighting right there. That does happen pretty often from the pulpit in a church, where someone is taught to reframe their experience according to however the speaker says it should be. It's not. Sometimes it's outright said, like, that's not what happened to you. This is what happened to you. But
yeah.
I think the subtle reframing can be worse, because if you go to church on a regular basis, you hear that regularly, and you start to like discount your personal experiences or pain, or good feelings. Like if it doesn't fit the narrative, like sometimes there's that social pressure to see it differently, and that I'm very sensitive to that. Like,
oh yeah, that's
I could not, because the whole autism masking thing, like the temptation to mask is something that like I have to unlearn, and having something I was a part of, like reflecting back on that and how like it basically encouraged me to mask who I was.
Yeah,
not great.
No. Speaking of not great,
segue.
This is an emotionally based argument. That's where you're actually going to minister to the person. And there's a good chance that if you can minister to them and their hurt and their need and their anger, that's actually going to be a better place to start before trying to logically convince them of constructs they're not capable of understanding because they're so emotionally involved in their hurt and their pain. So start.
He's not
yeah,
wrong.
So there's, yeah, I mean, there's, but there's like some good and bad to that. Like, yes, it is better to, in any kind of interaction with a person where there's any kind of hurt involved, or anything more like deeper conversations, like if there is some kind of hurt or emotions there, like yes, it's good to deal with those, but it's good to deal with those honestly, and to deal with those as those are the ends, not a means to an end like this asshole's trying to do with them. Like,
when I said he's not wrong, like what I meant was not to cut you off. What I meant was it is very useful towards his ends, and like you and I did this in the prayer tent. Like we thought we were, the way we looked at it, like we were offering them something that would help them, but we did leverage their pain to give them what we thought was the best thing. I really wish I hadn't presented it so with such certainty. Like, this is what you need. I wish I would have said, "This has helped me. Maybe it'll help you." Like,
yeah. And honestly, I feel kind of bad for just like yelling at him, calling him an asshole there, because like you said, like this, I do the same shit too. That was like my whole MO when it came to basically any kind of interaction with like a non-Christian. Like everything was an agenda. Like every interaction with them, like, well, this is how you're gonna like kind of reel them in,
Yeah. And so, in a way, I think for you and I, like that kind of agenda or plan for the conversation, like the framework, I guess, like that was kind of helpful to talk to that many strangers. Because like without that kind of framework, I couldn't have done that. Because I don't like talking to people. I like talking to people I don't know. but I can't always handle it. I can't always handle talking to people I don't know because of social stuff, and I can't handle talking to a lot of people in an open framework, like small talk in a networking thing. Kind of one of my nightmares. Because it's not genuine, and I don't want to talk to that many strangers at once. Like,
right. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Well, I'm thinking we may be only getting to this first video tonight because, like, there's still about a minute and a half left of this one, and then the other one's like another 5 minutes. So it's taken us almost an hour and a half to go through about 5.5 minutes. So, but the next one, I don't want to. It's not one I want to rush through. I definitely want to give that one its full time. So,
yeah.
Come back next week for part 2 of his part 2. I might play like a little snippet at the beginning just to give you a taste, to kind of, like, it's like this is another one where, like, right off the bat you're like, oh fuck. All right, but let's get through this one, and then yeah.
So start by ministering to them there. Maybe you want to use some classical apologetics to frame the argument and make a worldview where they understand logically, scientifically, the best explanation for how we're here is that there was a God, but then move into your secret weapon. Know that deep down, they know they have an eternal destination. Deep down, they know they have violated the laws of God and they need help.
Yes, your secret weapon, so secret that not even we know that that's what we think.
Yeah, and look at this. That is such a smug face.
Yeah.
What's that? I keep forgetting that German word that it means a face in need of a punch, a face in need of a fist.
I don't know the word, but I just love how they have a word for everything. Because that's the other fun thing about German is it's all one word, because they just love taking, like, all the descriptors or something for a certain noun. They just cram it all into one word, so it's like 20 letters long or something. Yeah.
And I'm not saying like he should be punched in the face or advocating for that. I'm just saying, like, I'm just describing the instant feeling I get inside.
Right. Yes. See, that's the emotional hurt that he would like to minister to you with the banana.
It's just this dumb face right now.
No, let him minister with his banana, and
what he's the banana. What he's describing is actually an interesting concept. It reminds me of something that happens in martial arts where you don't, like, when you punch somebody or you hit whenever you're hitting someone, you're not. You think about not punching them, but punching, like, you're trying to hit a foot behind them. And so you hit them with acceleration and more momentum than you would if you were picturing them as the termination of the hit.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, basically, like, envision, he's kind of saying, like, picture the goal and like punch for that. Like, assume that that just kind of reminds me of that. Like, instead of punch past them, basically, instead of hitting them directly. So that's going to make the person talking to them, the evangelist, feel more confident. Body language is going to show more confidence. There's going to be, like, a firmness in what they say. And if you have connected with somebody in their hurt, when someone is hurt, they're willing to take, like, when someone is, like, feeling really broken or especially hurt, they are way more susceptible to taking a confident suggestion or affirmation of a truth, because, like, basically the more desperate they feel in their hurt, the more likely they are to do the evolutionary animal thing and fall in line behind the strong leader character. I would say, depending on the circumstance, I think men might be more eager to do that, fall in line behind other, like, authority male figures, or at least or someone who speaks with confidence, stands with confidence, and Because if you're in your hurt, you are not confident. Like, that is not a feeling you have. And so when somebody says, here's something, and I like that kind of confidence behind it, like, we are wired to latch on to that.
No, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, hacking people's brains for your benefit, not great.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Christianity, I mean, other religions probably are intentionally or not, like, diabolically good at that.
What's the evolutionary process? Like,
Yeah.
Diabolically good at it because these are methods that have lasted and have worked the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like they created a science to figure out how best to manipulate or hack people's emotions and brains, but
Right.
those are the methods that worked and lasted.
Right. Yeah, but going back to what I said earlier about how there are some good things you can find in the Bible, like Keith says here, like when someone is hurt, sit with them in that pain. That example is in the book of Job. Sometimes it's just presence people need while they find their own path through pain. Like, yeah, that's one of my favorite things in the Bible for people who are familiar with the book of Job. Like, it's Job's like going through all that shit. Like, the first thing his friends do is they show up and they don't say a damn word. They literally just sit with him for like, I think it's like days. Like, while he's just like in misery, like his friends just show up and they sit with him. Now later they open their mouths and go from there. But at first, yeah.
It was almost like they got less tolerant with his pain. They're like, your pain has lasted too long. Here's how you should fix it.
You clearly did something wrong here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, but I agree. Sitting with people in their pain and allowing them to find their own way is key.
Mm-hmm.
And for people who are neurodivergent, like autistic, some ADHD people, like just having someone else there with no talking is often the best, and let them start talking. Just knowing somebody cares and is like not trying to talk you out or talk you out of or into anything, like, is super helpful.
Yeah, I saw this quote. I wish I could remember who it was by, but I also wish I could remember the full quote. But it was something along the lines of, like sit with me and I'll sit with you, and like talk about like something about like not talking. But the phrase that I loved from it was like, "I too am fluent in silence." It's like, that's beautiful.
That kind of sounds like a Buddhist thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like I said, I don't remember who said it, but yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
So then it pains me to get back to this bullshit. It's only like a minute left.
And then we just have faith, because the best answer for all of our problems is, in the words of Andre Crouch, Jesus is the answer for the world today. Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him there's no other. Jesus is the way. Know that you do have the answer. The Bible has the answers to their questions. There's no question.
Yeah,
we were told that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have the answers.
Oh yeah, I remember that was like a big mantra, like for this prayer group that we were in, the MASH team. That's one thing they said is like, look, all we have to give these guys is Jesus. Now, sure, we ended up giving them a lot more other stuff as well, but at least in theory, that was like, well, that's all I got to give for you, man. Like, I just gonna offer you Jesus.
I think part of the reason why that connected with me was because Jesus is kind of an avatar of the best of humanity, or at least that's kind of his function for the secular aspects of Jesus. So I'm talking about like the brainy, emotional, evolutionary, metaphorical needs of a person. Like people like symbols, and we can understand more complex things about life when it's encapsulated in a symbol or a poem or a song, a TV show, like all that kind of stuff. So like Jesus as the best of humanity, I think I think there's like helpful, unhelpful overlaps there where, like if I think all I have to give people is Jesus, and part of the function of Jesus in my brain is that Jesus is like the best I have to offer, like he represents that. I think that is to to kind of process. I think I was partly processing it like all I have to give these people is my best. Like
Mm.
that would have been more encouraging to say like we trust you to give these people your best. Like we know that that's what you're striving for. Like we know that's everything that's all of what you have to give is like you're here to give your best. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Because this isn't going to be easy. It's going to be emotionally difficult. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that would have meant more to me. And I feel like that's what that phrase kind of like part of it. I didn't know how I give somebody Jesus. That was like a really abstract concept. Like I knew kind of what that felt like, but yeah. So I think there's deepness
really like
and symbolism.
Yeah, I like how Keith put it here. Come to Dr. Jesus it's a lazy faith. And this is coming from a Christian.
Yeah.
So.
It feels like a cork. It feels like a cork that's gonna leak for a dam, you know? Like like it's kind of an emotional thought stopper.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, speaking of the ways that like even like what some people would consider like the nicer parts of faith, I think really did some damage for me was saying, "Oh, well, Jesus is enough. Jesus is all you need." So what that like I referenced earlier, that just led to so much guilt when I realized, okay, this really isn't enough. Like when I'm going through like some shit and someone's just like spouting Bible verses at me, like this should be, and I honestly felt like, oh, this is from the Bible. This should be comforting me, but it wasn't solving my problems.
Yeah, so then you feel guilty, right?
I was like, well, shit, what's wrong with me then?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is why we love you, Keith. Has more in common with us than the Christians. Like, you could do worse, that's for sure.
In our humble opinion.
Yeah, and I love having things in common with you. You're an awesome dude.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Well, so Joe looks like he's ready for a banana.
Hold on a second. Wait. So by that logic, all right, because if a banana is perfectly shaped for so if a banana is perfectly shaped for the mouth, right? And bananas
are everyone focus on the banana hole.
Yeah, bananas are penis shaped, right? So so then could you also say that Pastor Joe's mouth is perfectly dick shaped?
I think you could. Yeah, I mean,
or peanut or banana.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
I mean, for all the people who swing that way, like doesn't that look like an inviting hole? I mean,
oh please let there be comments on YouTube at some point.
All right. Well. Speaking of which, we should probably let him finish. So.
An atheist can ask you that the Bible cannot answer well. Now, I didn't say that you can't answer well, but the wonderful thing about engaging with atheists is they'll challenge your worldview. They'll send you back to the Bible. The answers are there, and with help, maybe you need some help, but maybe you find them on your own. Your faith gets strengthened, and you get to learn how to do it better. So confidently go witness to atheists, knowing these things. If I've been a help to you at all, please consider supporting my channel by buying me a coffee, jumping up on Patreon.
Like trying to give us this whole spiel. I'm like, all right, thanks, Joe. That's been real.
The tithing basket will be passed around.
Yeah, so I think we're definitely going to have to save the part 2 for next week. But I do want to.
I just had a thought. Is Pastor Joe? So I like to see the best in people, right? Even I know I was being snarky and stuff, but like, part of being snarky at a YouTube video is just like I'm not really being snarky at the person, and part of it's because it's funny.
Yeah.
But
True. Yeah.
so remember that guy that we both know who I said I thought was a decent person in spite of himself?
I'm thinking of a lot of people, but yeah,
This
sure.
is someone in particular that we both know from a certain thing, and you had conversations on the Facebook with him, and you were like, I don't know if that's true. He's actually a good person. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm completely drawing a
no,
blank.
it's not all that
Yeah.
important for this. So do you think Pastor Joe is a good person, kind of tainted by his faith, or is he a bad person improved by his faith? Like I can't tell if if
Mm.
the
Good
attitudes,
question.
if the religious
Yeah.
attitudes are core to him as a person, or if they are, did he acquire his dickishness?
Yeah, I think just based on like I haven't seen a ton of his stuff. Like I've seen a couple of his videos. I've seen him in like some interviews and debates, like very like limited. Um, I would lean towards a good person tainted by the faith because like he does like because definitely compared to like of other some other or like apologists and Christians, especially in the more like Calvinist Reformed angle, like this guy actually seems friendly. He's not like he
Yeah,
does seem to show like some level of concern and like genuine love towards non-believers. He's not out there like just like condemning people and like he doesn't seem like the kind of person who would admit to like reveling and watching sinners burning in hell. Like that's not the vibe I get from this guy.
but I could see him trying to justify it with the Bible, like why
Yeah.
reveling in it
Now,
could be okay, you know?
yeah, but I don't see like that's something that's coming to him naturally because like with some people I get the vibe is like they enjoy the idea of like not just in a religious context but just in general bad things happening to people I don't like. Ooh, this version of Christianity is offering me that, so that's what they gravitate towards. I feel
Yeah,
like
that's a
this
very human
guy
thing to
like
do. Yeah.
yeah. So this guy, I feel like he just came to it and like he probably genuinely loves Jesus, loves God, loves other people. But then part of just the theology that he happened to fall into is a whole, well, some people got to burn, you know, and I got to be okay with that, which, you know, is its own kind of bullshit. But yeah.
You know, I think I could be okay with Christianity as containing looking at it like it contains metaphors for things we don't yet understand. Now, you couldn't look at all of it that way because some of it is in the Bible put forth like this is truth and facts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I
True facts,
think
TM.
yeah, I think I like I could be part of a Christian function that looked at Jesus that way
Hmm.
because but that's not really a thing because because well then you're looking at like all of the Jesus stuff the way he described it, which was he was the door, he was the gate to something. He was the path, he was like how you get somewhere else. He wasn't the destination. And so it's almost unbiblical or maybe unbiblical to say like the only hope I have for you is Jesus because that's not what he said. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna like
Yeah, yeah.
follow the guy
Huh.
and then try to repeat all the stuff he
Interesting.
did, that's not what he said. What he said was the kingdom of heaven is within you or in your midst nearby, depending on either the
Yeah.
gospel or the translation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the kingdom of heaven being, or whatever that translates for someone else, that being inside everyone is kind of a very hopeful message to say, like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, don't chase for things outside of you, like, chase the thing inside you. That, because if there is a God, or if there isn't, that's good medicine.
True. Huh. I like that. I also like what as much as
Yeah.
it pains me to point out how this dude was actually correct about something. He says, but as our friend Keith says, he is correct. You learn far more from having your worldview challenged. Yes, I learn a lot from you because you make me analyze my faith. I ask myself often, am I being honest with myself? Fantastic question. And I'm glad that, yeah,
That's high praise. I appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely, man. Very
I
much
think
value you and
yeah,
your
it,
input as well. So, yeah.
it's very wise to never assume you have the final answer. Like that, like you could always be wrong, or there's always more to know. Like that's
Mhm.
there'd be a lot less violence in the world if people did that. You know.
Yeah. And I don't know how encouraged I do feel by by this, but as Keith says, I've been around a lot of clergy. They're either brainwashed or they haven't got a fucking clue either. So be encouraged. I don't know how I'm supposed to be encouraged, but I will do that anyway. Thank you. Love you, buddy. But yeah.
So clergy are very good at not thinking or are incapable of thinking. It's like,
and Keith, aren't you the clergy or used to be the clergy? What are you saying there, dude?
no. We've othered the clergy at this point.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
They
Well,
othered themselves.
all right. Well, because I do, like I said, we're going to be saving. He had a part 2 of this, like how to witness to atheists, but looks like we're going to have to save part 2 for next week. So I do want to play just like a few seconds of it, just to kind of give a little teaser. But before we get to that, any other thoughts from you, Matt, on this video? Or
no, I don't know what part of the next one you're going to play, but
just like the opening few seconds, because
okay,
yeah.
No, I do think for all the snark, I think this guy does mean well.
Yeah.
And he does a good job in the framework of his particular flavor of Christianity and like doing all that stuff well. He does a pretty good job. Like he was taught well how to do the clergy, and he
with a banana.
Going to clergy with a banana, Tommy. Come on.
Yeah, well, be careful with the clergy because our buddy Keith, he is the clergy. But no, I'd say you definitely have some clues about a lot of stuff, man. Don't sell yourself short.
I think in being able to admit that you don't have a clue shows that you have a bigger clue than most people.
Oh yeah. I got a huge clue.
This guy, if he stays a Christian, will probably be pretty successful in his Calviny, Baptisty, whatever tradition he's in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess he would consider that praise, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe not. If you ask yourself, like, do you really have a clue? And yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, would you like to get a little taste of what part 2 is going to be like here?
I do.
All right.
Clicky, clicky. Hats are off.
Oh, yeah.
It's a throwdown.
Yeah, I mean, look at that look on his face. He's like, it's fucking serious, y'all. All right, so I'll just play a few.
I combed my beard together today for strength.
Ooh, oh yeah, he's missing the canyon there. This is so. I guess before I don't know if there's a symbolism like before it was like the Red Sea parted, and now it's like come back together. So now he's coming back to drown all the Egyptians, which am us, I guess. I don't know.
Do you think somebody pointed out that he had a beard camel toe before? And he was like, "No, I don't have fucking camel toe."
Is that why I found it strangely alluring?
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's just
places to put bananas.
and speaking of just wanting a little taste, let's hear what he's got to say.
Gross, man.
Today, I wanted to take a minute and do a take 2 on my previous video, How to Witness to an Atheist. So I made my previous video, How to Witness to an Atheist, based on teaching Christians how to witness to atheists. And that was kind of the whole point. I want to equip Christians to go have conversations, because honestly I think many Christians want to talk to their atheist friends about God, but they're really not sure how to do it. So I wanted to equip those people. However, that is not the spirit in which the video was received. In fact, what happened is this video got a ton of comments from atheists who found me to be a condescending jerk. They didn't like it. In fact, there was one faulty assumption, which is I think every atheist
you're not at fault, are you?
To them. And I wasn't, because I was talking to Christians, but that's okay. And I've had some really cool conversations come out of that. I've got to have a great interview with Godless Engineer on his channel, talking about that.
Godless Engineer, I enjoy his channel.
Where he actually gave me a quote, which is why I'm wearing this shirt, which said, he called me a ZZ Top version of Ray Comfort, which I took as the best compliment I think I could ever receive. But anyway, I got to have a conversation with him and some other people on their podcasts. But today I wanted to do take 2 on how to witness to an atheist. And atheists, if you're watching, this is for you.
Oh, thanks.
And so I want to start off and say, I'm sorry that you misunderstood the last video. And I know that sounds like gaslighting a little bit.
Oh my God.
Just because it fucking is, you. God damn it.
God, he just. That was like the equivalent of just saying, bend over, Gimp. Like, oh, you didn't like it? Where's my thank you, sir? May I have another? Like.
Or as Keith says, he looks like a wrestler. He's wanting to wrestle something, and I'm not wanting to let him anywhere near it.
Oh my gosh, there was so much, and he knows. I feel like he knows that's not an apology. That is the most backhanded of apologies. Just the way he emphasized what he said, I was like,
yeah, and I love how he says, now that might sound like gaslighting. Like, now I wonder why he felt the need to say that.
I'm not a racist, but
yeah, it's basically like him saying, I'm sorry you took this wrong, which was actually the right way to take it, but just not the way I wanted you to take it. But yeah. Yeah,
that was so many good things.
Heart's not speaking of good things. Heart's going out to Buddy Keith here, trained in a Baptist college, baptized neo-Calvinist. Yeah, that's kind of me too, basically.
I had no idea they had Baptists in the UK. That was even something people could tolerate long enough for it to stick around.
I feel so bad. Like, now I consider myself a Noahide. Like, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it sounds better than Baptist, so I'll take it.
Is that like Naugahyde? It's like the vinyl Baptist. Like Naugahyde is like vinyl leather. It's like it's like imitation Baptist.
No, then they just call them non-denominational. But yeah, so I think that's enough of that. So if that's enough of a teaser, so stay tuned for next week so we can tackle that bullshit.
He doubled down on being. He doubled down on all the stuff people complained about as his apology. He just laid it out yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like,
okay, wait. I just thought of something. So I think going into next week, I do want to see if he takes his own advice. Like the way he talks to atheists in this video, I do want to see if it follows his formula. Like where he said, come at it with these assumptions, go after the hurt, try to leverage it. I am interested to see if that is what he does.
Yeah.
Because I've seen responses to the second video also, and he did not have the effect I think he wants people to have when they talk to atheists.
Yeah.
But he felt better about him. And that seems to be what his method is about. But the evangelizer comes away feeling great about everything. And if the atheist doesn't, that's their fault.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and also on the off chance that Joe, if you actually ever come across this,
We could send it to him.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have you on and talk. Like I said, I've seen you like your interviews with, like you mentioned, Godless Engineer. I saw you with Godless Granny. That was a great interview. Yeah, it seems like you like us enjoy talking to people that you disagree with and see things differently. So I think it could be a fruitful conversation. Like I said, on the off chance you actually ever see this, but yeah, just putting it out there. But yeah, so tune in next week and we'll look at part 2, the one that's actually, I guess, was actually supposed to be meant for the atheists, even though the first one was about talking to atheists, but that wasn't meant for atheists because, yeah. Fuck if I know, man.
If we aren't supposed to, hearing the inside baseball talk that he was given to other Christians, if that is offensive to atheists, then maybe, like, if you have to hide and tailor your conversation, tailor your info to your audience to keep it from being offensive and repulsive, then the problem is with the content of what you're saying, not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, he's just upset that they heard what we said about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it almost seemed like he was surprised that, like, atheists watched it. Like, he used the word atheist over and over again. YouTube is going to data mine the shit out of that and say this might be for atheists, or at least they'll be angry and engage.
Yeah, and plus, as you know, the way we found out about it, atheist YouTube channels are going to find it and react to it. So, I mean, that's how I've heard about it. I want to say probably Logic, Sir Sick, maybe even Vice Rhino, probably several others as well. But
I didn't see Logic. I didn't see him respond to it. Like, he that would be funny because he is not responding emotionally exactly because he doesn't have a horse in that race. He never was Christian and like,
he has some cool perspectives. Yeah.
He's been around forever too.
Here's ultimate comeback right here. Ain't apologetics is for angry. Wow. Boom.
Why not? Yeah. It often is. Not always, but like.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Keith, so much for that.
It is not hard to get an apologist angry, though.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, so tune in next week and we'll tackle what I guess was supposed to be meant for us, but it's also totally not gaslighting. And
no, it'll be good. Next one's a little shorter, right? But is it less dense, or is it?
It's
still...
shorter. I don't really remember. Like, I didn't watch that one as much before tonight, but yeah. So I don't know if you want, like, going into next week. I don't know if you want to watch it more or kind of go into it more blind like you did this time.
Yeah, we can. I'll go into it blind because, I don't remember. I remember it was coming back to me when I saw the part you just played, but no, I don't remember a ton of it.
Yeah, I think that was like a fun dynamic, like. But this is like another thing. Maybe sometime, maybe make one of our little segments would just be to like recommend various YouTube channels that we both follow, because one that's kind of reminds me of the approach of I really love called Low Fruit. Mm-hmm. And that's usually the approach they do, is like it's two guys reacting to videos like where one of them had watched it before and then he's like showing it to the other guy and just like getting his reactions, like going into it blind. And they may have actually covered this guy too at one point. I don't know, but
no, they did. I think that's where I saw the reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so many channels, like I said, we'll probably go into this more later, but if anyone's curious, channels like Low Fruit, which is connected with Rationality Rules. Mm-hmm. There's another great channel. We mentioned Logic, Sir Sick, I know for me, especially very early on in my transition to atheism, channels like Paulogia and
that's
Arn
great.
Ra were huge. I think I mentioned Viced Rhino. It's another great one. Godless Granny. That's one I just recently got into. Mindshift. I think we posted some of his
Yes.
videos on the page recently. That dude is awesome. Really love him.
Yeah, pretty much everything he puts out is fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Even like he's one of those channels. Oh, and thank you, Keith,
yes,
for
indeed.
reminding me. Prophet of Zod, another one I've been into for a long time. Love that guy.
He has a super approachable, like,
Mm-hmm.
he has some snark, but like he's very kind.
Yeah.
He's just a kind person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, so are you and me, but like I'm not always obvious.
Oh man, coming up with another one that I also am a big fan of, Cosmic Skeptic.
Yeah,
I
he
think
goes by
Alex O'Connor.
Alex O'Connor.
Yeah. But yeah, fantastic channel.
He's had some pretty high-profile people that he's interviewed.
Yeah,
including who was the atheist guy who died of cancer? One of the
Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah. So Hitchens has a brother who is his opposite. It's like Nega Hitchens. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Hitchens. Yeah.
So Alex O'Connor interviewed Peter Hitchens. Did you watch that?
I did.
Yeah, Peter Hitchens lost his mind at one point and was basically like imagining Alex being critical of him. And Alex is like, even for a British guy, like he's especially polite.
Yeah. I mean, he basically took like 20 minutes to walk out because of a problem that wasn't actually there. Yeah.
And Alex was like, you can leave. That's fine.
Hitchens walked out. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Definitely. Yeah. Look up that video. It is like so uncomfortably awesome.
And it is intentionally unedited because Peter Hitchens said that he was going to go out on Twitter or wherever and like tell his version of what happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was
yes.
So he put it out there unedited, and it was it was not kind to Hitchens. No, it was actually Peter Hitchens was not kind to Hitchens. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex was very
kind to himself. Yeah.
Yeah, as Keith says, he asked about drugs and he lost his shit. Like, and Alex goes into this full explanation. Like, that was just one of the conversation topics that they had both agreed on going into it.
Yeah.
But I guess Peter got tired. Like, I'm just tired of talking to people about drugs. You're such a pro-drug person, and I'm tired of talking to people like you. And he's like,
you could have said, I don't want to talk about that, and they wouldn't have, because he would have respected that.
But yeah, seriously, look that up. It's something. But little last thought from Keith here. The B and Baptist, it's banana. See? So we figured out what the A in atheist and apologist were for. Now we're on the B in Baptist. And now for the C in Calvinist, which is probably cunt. So.
Oh, goodness. Oh, another Myth Vision is also really good.
Yeah, that was another one I was going to mention. Myth Vision, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Myth Vision guy will he will also expose people to Derek will expose people to quite a few other other YouTubers, more scholarly.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I love the channel more than I like him. Like, nothing against Derek, but I think the strength of it is like the people that he's able to bring on and like the interviews he has with people. Because honestly, like the videos that he does that are like just him, I'm like, I mean, it's got some good stuff in it, but like maybe it's just like I said, maybe it's just a personal thing. Like I don't prefer.
No, I get that. He grew on me. I think it's just like his mannerisms and talking, and he has like some kind of regional way of saying the vowels in feel. It sounds like Phil.
Yeah, or seal is sill, and real is real.
So, that just bothers me, but that definitely feels like it's probably a dialect.
It's not just me. Yeah.
No, but he grew on me. It took some time, but But when I found out more about his background, he was in construction or something. Like he was in contracting,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, I think
so
his dad was like special forces in the military,
yeah,
which
so
explains his haircut.
yeah, so he's outside his like comfort zone, like or his background, like you know what I mean, his past.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like being a
Yeah.
YouTube presenter is not
Mhm. Yeah, but
not
I
where his
love that
training
he
is.
just yeah, but I know like that's a thing in me. Like I'm just trying to kind of get over it myself is like having hangups and like. But I just love like for him is like he just goes for it because I've heard him
Oh yeah,
like talking in other places. Like he realizes like he has issues with the way he phrases things, or he's not the best communicator or whatever. But I just love that he just goes for it and does it anyway, which is awesome.
he's put out some great mini documentaries where
Yeah.
he's like strung together interviews he's had with people into like
Hmm.
a focused
Oh yeah.
topic, and
Yeah.
he has learned a lot.
Yeah.
But he easily has like I think a master's worth of knowledge. Um,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and he can hold his own with discussing with like biblical scholars who have doctorates, and like
Hmm. Hmm.
it's really cool. Um,
Yeah. Some of my favorite interviews he's had recently is with Richard C. Miller. He's like, that's something I want to get into later because, like, the things that Miller was saying, like, for me, was just like some real mind blowing stuff. But I just want
yeah,
to bring up this comment by Keith. Like, yeah, harm reduction is a real thing. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. If you want to clarify a little further, would love for that. So I'll give you a minute to do that. But
I think I might have an idea, but I'm not sure.
what's your idea until he responds?
Oh, um,
So.
trying to mitigate harm or reduce somebody's perception of it. I'm not sure what he's responding to though.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to some clarification on, Keith, if you wouldn't mind, if you're still here. Which, by the way, I assume also like up again. Like I said, that's what probably 3 a.m. his time, and he's up like watching over like a homeless shelter, like he has been the past couple weeks. So again, huge props to you, man.
Yeah,
And again, we're gonna have you on one of these days. Like I'd certainly rather have you on than looking at this guy some more. So yeah. So please save us from that. No, but responding to the Hitchens thing, yeah, the reason Hitchens, talking about Peter Hitchens in his interview with Alex O'Connor, got so annoyed was because he kept banging on about drug strategy. And it's like, well, that's one of, but again, you listen to Alex talk about it, it's like, that's one of the things we agreed upon before the show. That was going to be like topic A out of like
yeah.
2 or 3 topics. But yeah.
And Alex had good he had good retorts. He's like so this thing that you the way you think we need to handle drugs, he's like this other information says that doesn't work very well, or this other way of handling it has more of the outcome you want. And yep, I think his angle was that Hitchens was like just people should do drugs, and the goal should be to have no one doing drugs, illegal drugs or harmful drugs or whatever. And Alex was like, okay, that's not a thing that can happen. Like, and we can't just making a law that none of it's legal and have harsher penalties. Like, that's not going to get the results. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
So
it's
Keith
going to hurt
clarified.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of drugs, like, yeah, the strategy being harm reduction. Yeah. I carry Narcan because dead people don't recover. Some people say that's enabling. Like enabling them to live. Yes, that's what it's enabling.
Yeah. And in this country, like it's clean needles. Like people are like, well, you're helping them do heroin. It's like true, but like they're going to
We're
do
helping
heroin.
them. Yeah, we're helping them not kill themselves at least as quickly.
Yeah, and you can. Somebody can't get clean when they're dead. Like, yeah,
yeah. Which again, like this is a view that I used to hold, was that was enabling and that's a wrong thing to do. But, yeah.
Baby steps sometimes. If the big leap is going to kill somebody, then...
Yeah. Well, apparently Keith is off next week, so no. But job comes to an end, so I'd love to hang. I'd love to have you sometime. Like I said, next week we're covering more of that other douchebag. But we will let you know when. Yeah, the thing is, like, we've got
the other douchebag. Like Keith is one of the douchebags.
No, sorry, Keith, not like that other guy who is a douchebag. But sorry, Keith, absolutely not a douchebag. But yeah, we got all kinds of guys, people we'd love to have on here sometime. So yeah, definitely be working Keith in whenever we can. That one will probably not be live, just with the time difference. That'll probably be like pre-recorded, and then we'll just live stream it later. But speaking of which, I hope people caught our episode last week with Derek Day.
Yeah.
If you were ever curious why theology is like a glass-studded dildo, apparently that was so. Oh, he says homeless shelters are only needed for the winter. Apparently, it's like, that's probably not true, especially in England. But
no, because it's
like, do you people ever have nice weather? Like, for real? You're like Seattle with better whiskey.
I kind of feel like most British people wouldn't know what to do with happy sunshine.
Yep. That's why the Beatles took so much LSD. So, all right. So, any other parting thoughts or things you want to bring up tonight before you hit us with that benediction? The weather's like Ohio. Well, then I'm sorry. I think it might be rainier for you than here, though. But yeah,
global warming is supposed to make it rainier here. Like our zone is going to get closer to subtropical. So yeah, we have we have humid undercarriages to look forward to. That's always a thing in the spring and summer. More so in the summer.
Maybe that's why over there so many people wear kilts. Or do they wear kilts? I should wear kilts more often. I have like 3. So.
Yeah, you've got the utility kilt.
Mm-hmm. It's handy. Yeah.
That's more culturally acceptable here. It looks less like a school uniform for Japanese girls, but
something like that. All right. Well, so yeah, looking forward to next week. Tune in for more from whatever the hell that was. But him trying to explain to us why that wasn't gaslighting, which I kind of have the feeling will just be more gaslighting. But all right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, folks, for coming to hang out, especially Keith there in the comments. Again, people watching later, feel free to keep commenting. We'll try to keep up with those. Good night, my friend.
Yep. May your things and stuff be forever with your people.
Yep, and amen. All right. Good night, folks.